Hi guys, let's do first unique character in a string. So we're given a string called s and they want us to find the first non-repeating character in it and return its index. If it does not exist, then they want us to return -1. So in example 1, we're given this input string s equals LeetCode and we would output 0 because the character L at index 0 is the first character that does not occur at any other index. Okay, and then example 2, we're given this input string s equals love LeetCode and we would output 2 because as we can see, so L appears again in the string over here, so L doesn't count. O appears again in the string over here, so O doesn't count, and then V is the first character in this input string where we do not have another V anywhere in the string, so we would output 2 because that's the index of V. So in example 3, we're given this input string s equals AABB, and we would output -1 because there's no character in here that does not occur more than once. So to keep track of the counts of each of the letters, we will use a hash map. So we'll store the character, each character that we encounter in the string, and then map it to the frequency of the character. And so we can do that by looping through the string and adding each character and its frequency into the hash map as we go. And then we can do another loop, looping through the string again, and for each character that we encounter, we can just quickly look up in the hash map what the frequency is, and if it is if the frequency is only 1, so that means it only occurs once in the string, then we will return the current index. And if we loop through the entire string and we don't find anything, so like in the case of example 3, then we can just return -1 at the end. So that is pretty much the entire algorithm, so we can get into coding it now. So we'll start by creating our hash map. So we'll be mapping a character to an integer. And then we'll just loop through our string to populate the hash map. So for I is 0, I is less than s dot length, I plus plus. We can assign char c to s dot char at I, so we don't have to keep calling it, and it's just for simplicity. So then we can add this to the map. So we'll put map dot put c get or default c 0 plus 1. So this will populate the hash map. So for example, let's say we are using example 1. Oops. And okay, there's our indices. Then our map will, first I will be 0, and then C will be L, so we'll put L, and then we don't have a C yet, so L will be 0 plus 1, which is, L will map to 1, like that. Then when I is 1, same thing, right? So our character C will be E, and we will put E into the map. We don't have an E, so it will be mapped to 1. Then next I is 2, and then we do have an E, so we just increment it, so this E will become 2. And then we just do the same thing for the rest of the characters in here, so I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to go through everything because it would take forever, but let's just say we did. Then this will look something like this. And then E will become 3. Okay, so this will be our hash map at the end. And then now we can do another loop. So we'll say for I is 0, I is less than s dot length, I plus plus. And then this time we're just going to check for each character so that we're at, so let's say we're starting with L. So char C is going to be s dot char at I. Then, so if the C is L, we're going to check in the hash map what is the frequency of the current character that we're at. So if it's 1, then we can return the current index that we are at, which would be I, right? Because L is currently at index I, which is currently 0. So if map.get C is 1, then we can go ahead and return I. And then we will just go through and check the entire string if we don't find anything. So like in example 3, we loop through the whole thing, we don't find anything, then at the end of the loop we can return -1. And that should be it. Oh, what What did I do wrong? Line 2. Okay, apparently I have a typo. I don't even know how that got there. Okay. Okay, so now it works. Let's go over the time and space complexity. So the time complexity, we just have 2 loops here. We first loop through the string to populate the hash map, and then we loop through the string another time to check the hash map for each of the characters. So worst case for each of these, well, this one, no matter what, it's going to be O of n, where n is the number of characters in our string. Yeah, because no matter what, we have to loop through the entire string to populate the hash map with each of the characters and their frequencies. This one will depend, but either way, worst case, it is O of n, because worst case, we don't find anything. We still have to loop through the entire string just to find nothing. So this is going to be O of n plus O of n, which is O of 2n, which is just O of n. So this is O of n, where n is the number of characters in S. Space complexity is going to be O of n as well, and that is because we have a hash map here that is storing each of the characters and their frequencies. So that is proportionate to n. And also, worst case, if every single character is unique, then we will be storing every single character with a frequency of 1. So that's it for this problem. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!